Lindenwood head coach Jed Stugart, the team coming off a loss against Tennessee State 24-24 or 24-20 this past week. They're going to be at home again this week. They're going to host Charleston Southern, the second all-time meeting between the teams. First time Charleston Southern has been to St. Charles. So, Coach, just some general thoughts on your team, and then we'll go to some questions.
Yeah, Kyle, just coming off tough loss. Give Coach George and Tennessee State a lot of credit being down at halftime. Kind of reminded our team at halftime these guys came from behind the week before, and we took a 20-7 lead into halftime, and just the tale of two halves. So we, first of all, I got to give them credit, but we didn't help the cause. I think all of us in the coaching industry are trying to teach weekly lessons. We came from behind 2 weeks ago with a great win, and then here we were in the situation. We had the opposite situation, and we weren't able to handle it. And I think it's a lesson in when momentum shifts, and it's hard to get back, and we got to learn to figure out how do you get that momentum back and kind of fall back to our values and our techniques and our fundamentals and all those things that we try to stay. So just live and learn. Now it's time to go back to being 1-0 this week. That's the only way. I've told our team, we got the same goal as everybody. Try to figure out a way to be a contender for this conference. And we're sitting 1-1 in this conference. There's every week people can be beat and can be upset, all those things. So we just there's nothing to panic about. We just got to put that frustration into a good week of practice. I think that's what our focus is having a really good day-to-day of practice, and then taking it one day at a time, because we've got a really good team coming in here. I know they're frustrated, kind of moving on into this week because they've lost some tough ones, and they're a better team than what their record's showing. And I'm sure that there's some desperation in their eyes, not having a conference win, and kind of trying to come in here and feel like, hey, this is our opportunity. Team that they beat last year and us, and so we've got to be ready. We can't just assume because their record isn't what what they would want it to be. That doesn't have it. It's no reflection of the quality of team they have. So that's my thoughts, and we just got to get back to the drawing board. But yeah, those losses are those are the biggest pills to swallow. I think, and all of us, starting with me, we've got to get we've got to put that to bed and get to work for the next one, because those are the ones that you feel like you gave away. Just they're the ones that sting the most. And I don't mean that taking anything away from Tennessee State, because they're too good to have that kind of performance in the second half.
Well, you said it there with your opponent. How do you not let one disappointment end up to be 2 or 3 losses? Like, how do you wipe the slate clean and say, all right, you sort of referenced it there, but this is a new week, a new opponent. Yeah. Let's go.
Well, Kyle, that's the $1 million question in coaching, is like, coaching, especially when the season is underway, coaching is more psychological than it is X's and O's. I mean, you got your offense, you got your defense in. Now it's a lot of it's, I don't know what percent it'd be, but it's a high percent of it's between the years. And it's getting guys to, to buy into that. And I think, I'm a big believer that you got to go back to the successes that you've had in the past. Remind kids of, like, hey, when we do these things and we execute these things, even in our losses, look how good of a football team we can be. And so I think, the job is, and, I think our team, kind of did a voluntary meeting yesterday, which was great. Just get a team only meeting. And I think some positives came out of that, because it's just more of that, hey, let's move on. Let's love the fact that they're holding each other accountable, and each side, offense, defense, is being accountable to themselves. But that's the $1 million question, is getting them on to, and it's cliche. Every team uses it, but it's the team, you've got to, it's a really true message, that 1-0 mindset of trying to just, what's important now. I think it's good to use some of the, I always go back and say, okay, what were the things that we felt like we didn't do in the second half that to not score a touchdown, what happened, and then go emphasize those this week so kids know that we're working on things that we failed to do in the game last week, because we did definitely started fast. I mean, we had a 4-play drive for a touchdown and a defensive score off of a tip ball and interception, pick six return. And so we're up 14-0, feeling good. And sometimes those explosive starts can get you feeling good, like the game's already in control, and you can lose your focus. And I think that's part of the mental grind of coaching is getting guys to move on to the next play. That's why we always say what's important now.
I was uneducated. I didn't know there was a second Caldwell in your team, but he made one of those big plays. So, Jeff makes the touchdown catch earlier. You referenced the play there. So, talk about just the impact that some of your the special teams and some of those big plays in the defense have made for you getting some non-offensive touchdowns this year.
Yeah, our special teams has been playing really well, and our defense really kept us in this game. I was really proud of them in the second half. I think we lost our again after the pick six by the other Caldwell. Yes, we had to go right back out on the field, and then next thing you know, we let them drive straight down the field because again, I think we felt like, oh man, we're and then so we give up a long drive, and and then we have to kind of now that's why you got to try to play 4 quarters and try to play. You're going to give up drives. That's what football, people are going to score. It's impossible to just go into every game and just like assume you're going to shut everybody out every game. That's not realistic. But your focus has to kind of have that be in that mindset. So our special teams has been playing really well, but then again, we muffed a punt and gave them the ball back. They got a hand on a 43-yard field goal that caused it to be short. Just got enough of it to take some off the ball, and so we missed a field goal there. So we had a couple special teams breakdowns, which we really have been playing really well on special teams, but that 2 lack of focus plays had a major part to do in that loss. And then I think what really stung the worst is that we not being able to score in the red zone a touchdown. They held us to a field goal right before half. You always worry about when you get down the 4 and we take a sack, you always worry that, not getting that touchdown and you go in halftime, and it's always in the back of your head, like, not getting touchdowns sometimes can come back and haunt you. And that's what happened in this game. Because our defense held enough we could have ran the timeout if we had just even had that touchdown and that field goal. So that's, really good. But like I said, I loved how our special teams has played pretty consistent. But two not so great plays in this game had a major impact in this game.
One more question about them, just their running attack. They ran for over 325 yards. So your defense, that challenge to stop the 2-headed attack they had last week.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about last week's.
Charleston Southern's game last week. Sorry, and they were really good in that game. So how do you stop that attack?
Well, I'm sitting here staring at the, it's kind of like that's the one thing that sticks out right now. I think is and that's why I've watching them and their games. I think that's the part we have to. We have to make sure our team understands is like you can't look at people's records and things. It's not healthy. It's not smart. Charleston Southern is too good of a football team to do that. And, we've really challenged our defense because I think we've had some good days where we've been able to kind of slow down people's run offense, but then, we've been susceptible to giving up a big play here and there and so I guess it's more about consistency because, with good running games like these guys do, their offensive line is really good in their run game. And of course, when you add their quarterback's mobile too, and can be a part of that. They've played in some rain situations, so you can't even, you got to understand that there's a pretty good balance in their passing attack too. So we got to be ready, because if we don't bounce back, we don't get our minds right and still linger on last week, like you said, this team's too good, and we'll put a hurting on you if you're not paying attention. And we know that they got us last year pretty good, and we got to keep that in the forefront of our mind.
Coach, appreciate your time this morning. Best of luck this weekend at home. We'll talk to you again next Tuesday.